Hi everyone. Today we are going to be taking some cuttings of some mother-in-law's tongue, Sansevieria, also known as snake plant. One thing you need to know before you take cuttings of these guys is if you have the one with the yellow margin, taking cuttings, the baby plant that will grow from that will not have the yellow markings. You would need to do rhizome division in order to get that yellow marking to continue. Anyway, first things first, you will need a nice sharp knife. Scary. I'm using a cutting board. I'm on carpet, so it'll be a little bit easier. I've already taken a couple of leaves off of the Sansevieria. Pick two healthy leaves. I have some pots of soil with well-draining soil mix. You don't want it to stay too moist around here. When you're dealing with succulent plants, if they're allowed to stay too moist, they will rot, and that's something you don't want to have happen. I have a little greenhouse here that will stick on there to keep the humidity in. If you don't have a greenhouse like this, what I've used in the past is a Ziploc bag. So use a pot that will fit inside of that bag. Make sure of that before you start. So, first things first. Okay, so when looking at this leaf, you want to cut them about 2 inches at least, 2 inches long. So take a sharp knife and just cut it straight across. You don't want to use a serrated knife, you want to use a regular flat-bladed knife. Serrations will tear the tissues, and the plant will probably end up rotting. It would have to use its energy to heal itself before it ended up doing roots. And you want it to just focus on roots rather than the healing process. So what you want to remember to do is when you take these cuttings, you want to line them up just as they're coming off the plant. When we plant these, you want to have them facing exactly the same way. Top goes up, bottom goes down. If you plant them wrong, they will not grow. They're very specific. I'm keeping all of these directional. So I'll basically have a leaf on the ground. Let's try these ones closer to the ground. They look like celery stalks, but we'll give those a whirl. All the way to here. Super. Now I'll do the next leaf. I'm not doing the very top. I'm just cutting it off. It might grow, it might not. We don't need that many, so. It smells like peas or beans. Kind of interesting. Alright. Let's get one more out of that. Okay. So with these cuttings, we've made sure this way is up. So now in our soil, we're going to just poke them down in there. Make sure they're in about 1 inch. Leave the rest of it hanging up above the soil. I'm going to put 2 of them in each pot. The best is to use a shallow tray rather than deep pots. Shallow trays will dry out a little bit faster than a deep pot. So keep that in mind when you're choosing the pot. Okay, they're going in there nicely. A little more difficult to shake them down in there than I thought it was going to be. Cactus soil is a good soil to use. Perhaps even perlite if you have perlite. Moisten it first, or vermiculite. Vermiculite might be a little bit better. Just as long as you make sure that it stays moist if you're using perlite. It is a puffed stone, so it doesn't tend to hold on to very much moisture at all. Okay. And remember, if you're doing these cuttings, this one is a solid green variety. So I'm not going to be worried about the yellow markings not coming through. But remember, if it does have the yellow markings, as most Sansevierias do, that yellow marking will not show up in this process. Okay, so they're planted. I'm just going to give them a very light amount of water, just to dampen the soil a little bit. Remember, if I add too much moisture, they could rot. So Mr. Pig, who actually is an elephant, I don't know whether you've noticed, but he has issues. He doesn't quite know what he is. He's pink, so he should be a pig. If he was an elephant, he would be great. But it's all good. It's okay. Everything has a light little bit of watering, or a little bit of water. So now I will just put the lid on there. I'll close the vents. You want to keep as much moisture in there as possible. If it gets really moist in there, like you can't see in because of all the condensation, you want to open the vents or even take the lid off. You don't want, again, too much moisture too long. This just helps in the process because it hasn't produced any roots. If it is in too dry of a condition, the plant could start losing its internal moisture. So you want it to kind of stay the way that it is until it produces its roots. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. In a few weeks, you will probably, it might even take more than a few weeks actually. Sansevieria in general is a very slow grower. Give it a few months. As long as these little guys are looking the exact same, I wouldn't worry. They're doing fine. If any of them start to soften and mold, then pull them out. You don't want to infect any of the other growing babies there. Hopefully the rot won't spread. Just keep on top of it. It could take a little while to see the new growth. What I will do is in a few weeks I will go and I'll just give a light tug. You don't want to give a firm tug because any little baby roots that could be starting could possibly get damaged in the little inspection process. So just be aware. A good way to do it, if you don't want to give things a tug, is flip the pot over. You should be able to see some roots growing out the bottom or around the bottom. So just be aware. Anyway, happy growing and enjoy the little babies.